In this video, we are going to use the Solo model, which we introduced in our last lecture, to explain what happened to the GDP per capita of Kuwait amid the First Gulf War in 1990 to 1991. In the 1980s, Iraq had fought a long and costly war against its neighbor Iran. In 1990, the Iraqi President Saddam Hussein had to rebuild the nation, but was heavily in debt after 8 years of war. He had specific grievances with Kuwait, who he accused of stealing oil by side drilling into the Rumaila oil fields which actually lay in Iraq. He also accused Kuwait of breaking OPEC oil quotas and bringing down global oil prices. But Kuwait had long been claimed by Iraq because it had actually been part of the Ottoman province of Basra and would have increased Iraq's access to the Persian Gulf. Saddam threatened military action against Kuwait and moved his troops to the border. In July 1990, the US brokered the Jeddah talks to defuse the situation. Kuwait agreed to pay $10 billion in compensation for use of the Rumaila oil fields. However, when Kuwait only offered $9 billion, Saddam Hussein launched an invasion 2 days later. Iraq had one of the largest armies in the world, with over 1 million troops, and quickly overran Kuwait's army of just a few thousand personnel. As Saddam mobilized his troops towards the Saudi border, in September 1990, the US launched Operation Desert Shield, moving troops into the region and bringing its aircraft carriers into the Persian Gulf. The UN condemned the invasion of Kuwait and placed sanctions on Iraq. Iraq was given until the middle of January 1991 to fully withdraw from Kuwait. When the UN deadline passed, 2 days later, a US-led coalition of 30 countries launched Operation Desert Storm to push Iraqi forces out of Kuwait. The Iraqi forces were unable to resist the advancing coalition forces, and in late February, Saddam ordered a full retreat, leading to the eventual ceasefire on the 28th of February that brought to an end the First Gulf War. However, as the Iraqi forces moved back across the border, they literally set fire to the desert by blowing up Kuwait's oil wells. Kuwait was predominantly an oil-producing country, so this represented a considerable destruction of the nation's capital stock. In our lecture last week, we introduced the Solo model. Here we showed that steady-state levels of capital and output are determined where savings and investment equal depreciation, so additions to the capital stock each period are matched by that which wears out each period. So what happens to a country if its capital stock is partly destroyed? In this case, what happens if the capital stock falls from K star to K0? Output will also fall from Y star to Y0. However, although the capital stock has been damaged, Kuwait has not forgotten how to extract valuable oil from the desert. Therefore, at this lower level of capital stock K0, net investment will turn positive, and the capital stock and output will return to previous steady-state values. If we look at the path of the economy, we would expect output to fall pretty quickly and immediately, but then recover as the capital stock is eventually replaced. Looking at the actual path of Kuwaiti GDP per capita seems to confirm the story of events that have been suggested by the Solo model. In our lecture on Tuesday, we're going to look at 2 more interesting applications of the Solo growth model. I hope to see you there.